light duties at Windsor over the coming week. The Queen, who is 95, had been in contact with her eldest son, the Prince of Wales, who tested positive last week. Here's our royal correspondent, Nick Witchell, with the latest.
I'm here.
Windsor Castle on Wednesday. The Queen meeting defence officials. The only health issue then was to do with her mobility.
Good morning, Your Majesty. How are you?
Well, as you can see, I can't move.
Oh, well, many congratulations on the start of your...
That exclamation, "I can't move," is thought to indicate that she may be having knee or hip trouble. But now, after 2 years of careful shielding from the risk of COVID, it's clear that the virus has penetrated Windsor Castle. Several staff have tested positive, and so has the Queen. In a statement, Buckingham Palace said, Her Majesty is experiencing mild cold-like symptoms, but expects to continue light duties at Windsor over the coming week. She will continue to receive medical attention and will follow all the appropriate guidelines. Those light duties are expected to include continuing with the paperwork as head of state. Shortly after the palace confirmed that the Queen had COVID, she sent a message congratulating the Team GB women's and men's curling teams on their medals at the Winter Games. The main concerns of the Queen's doctors will focus around the fact that she's now just 9 weeks from her 96th birthday.
Any person of that age will need to be monitored fairly carefully. And also, I think, given antivirals, we do know that if you give antivirals early on in an illness, you can substantially reduce the risk of severe disease.
The Queen is thought to have been fully vaccinated against COVID, and if she is given antiviral drugs, they should protect against serious illness. Political leaders were quick to tweet their good wishes. The Prime Minister said, I'm sure I speak for everyone in wishing Her Majesty the Queen a swift recovery from COVID and a rapid return to vibrant good health. The leader of the opposition, Sir Keir Starmer, tweeted, on behalf of myself and the whole of @UK Labour, wishing Her Majesty the Queen good health and a speedy recovery. Get well soon, ma'am. In recent days, both the Prince of Wales and the Duchess of Cornwall have tested positive for COVID. The Prince, who met his mother at Windsor on the 8th of February, has already made a full recovery. It is to be hoped that his mother will do the same. Nicholas Witchell, BBC News.
Well, joining me now is Victoria Howard from the Crown Chronicles, as you can imagine, chronicling all things royal. Thank you so much for joining us on BBC News. What's your reaction to this news that came of the Queen contracting COVID?
I think many people have been surprised, in the depths of the pandemic, we heard about what was termed HMS bubble, in that the Queen's staff, they were obviously shrunk down, they were testing regularly to ensure that both she and Philip at the time were shielded from the virus, of course, being in the elderly group. So I am a little bit surprised that this has come about, but of course we do know that she did have contact with Prince Charles shortly before he also tested positive for COVID. And it seems there's also a breakout within the wider Windsor team.
Yes, it's hard to know exactly where it may have come from. I was just looking at the pictures of her meeting with a couple of military personnel. But, they were shaking hands, not wearing masks. And I was like, kind of surprised at that. But I suppose we don't know what the protocols are. And we are 2 years into the pandemic now. Things may be easing. But she is so resilient, as we have seen over the years. How do you expect her to respond to this latest incident?
She'll respond with her usual realistic and optimistic tone, I think. She is expected to carry on light duties, as mentioned in the statement, and that will include Zoom calls, video calls with, for example, diplomats, accepting their credentials as they become ambassadors to the UK, for example. And, she's done this job for 70 years now. She's very used to the situations and the duties that encompasses. And she's comfortable to do that. She will take breaks if needed. She has definitely scaled back her work in the last few years, of course. She is turning 96 soon. So it's not like she has that full-on schedule that she was doing probably about 5-6 years ago, to be honest, when she was still 90. She was having that full schedule. But of course, she has access to the best medical teams. So I think while cautious with her age, she's triple vaccinated and she has a really good team of medical doctors around her.
Do you expect her, Victoria, however, just to take a few days off? I mean, most of the people I know who've had COVID have indeed taken a few days off. Would you expect that, just very briefly?
No, I don't. She's very committed, and something cold-like symptoms won't stop her.
Victoria, thank you so much for that. Do stay with us on BBC News. We're going to say goodbye to our BBC World viewers now.